riverside even though every time I
Yes.
tell it not to?
I have noticed that and maybe it's just YouTube.
Or maybe it's YouTube.
I don't know. I don't know that I've noticed it on Spotify, but
Because every
that's
time
because
I
it's so
export
little.
it yeah, maybe because it's little. Every time I export it, you can click to say don't do the watermark, but it does it.
So just to check in with you, are you okay with you've been doing the summaries and the editing and all that? Is that too, are you getting resentful?
Not at all. Not at
Okay,
all, I
let
love
me
it.
know.
Are you?
No, I'm grateful. I
I
love
think
it.
we have a, every other one thing going, like, yes,
Yeah,
that was you took the reins on that, you know?
yeah, but I didn't edit it or anything. Should I go in
Oh,
there
I
and
don't
edit
mind.
it?
I like editing.
Oh,
I get to sit and do it.
okay.
It's great.
Okay.
Okay,
So where did we
so
leave off last time?
we we got through Mary Bliss Parsons and her family, the Blisses, and established that Springfield, um, was the hub of the witch trials, the hub of the I think they're to me, they are an experiment, right? Springfield was Pynchon's great experiment, business company town in the wilderness. They always talk about how they're the wilderness people and the river people and the
And I have a good quote from
oh,
Malcolm Gladwell just saying
let's hear
that.
it. Okay.
He describes the ways in which Springfield could be served as an incubator for conflict, and thereby synthesizing the various folk beliefs existing along with real world fears into deliberate actions. So he says, is
That's
this
perfect.
okay? So he says, in many ways, Springfield, Massachusetts gathered all the conditions for a perfect storm. This is from his paper, A Real Life Fairy Tale, The Springfield Witch Hunt. It was a largely enclosed society, precariously dependent on the harvest, at the mercy of flood and frost, withering pests, epidemic diseases, and often hostile Native Americans. Men wanted more and more land, and it set them at odds with neighboring colonies and each other. This is Malcolm Gladwell's opinion. Settlers saw the hand of the devil, through whom a vengeful God punished them for their sins, in calamities big and small. By 1647, rumors of witchcraft began circulating, um, and the law, represented locally by Springfield's magistrates, was open to the idea of witches that were
Yes.
near.
So
So anyway,
that's what kept popping in my head, this exact like, it's almost like they manifested the violence and this
yes,
stress. And
yes.
I was thinking about this kind of an analogy or just trying to picture how can I shrink this down into my level of everything that happened. And it's like you're playing Monopoly in your family room with your family in your house, right? And your house is nice. It's just the way you like it. You might not use every room all the time, but you'll go to the kitchen when you need food and you go to, different parts of it. And then this fighting couple bursts into your house yelling at each other, right? Like War of the Roses or something. One speaking French, one speaking English, and they're yelling at each other. But they're kinda in the other rooms that you aren't using right now, so you're like, "Okay, well, maybe they'll figure it out and leave." But they keep fighting, and then they're in your kitchen, and they're messing with your food, and you go in, you're like, "This is our food, but we're really hungry," so you give them a little bit of your food, and then you go back into the family room, and you try to play your games, but now they're in your bedroom, and they're just taking over your house, and you are trying to make deals with them, but then you kinda get mad at them and you fight back a little bit, and then someone who speaks Dutch bursts into your house, and now they're fighting with everybody, and the French husband's trying to get you on his side, and the English wife's trying to get you on her side, and finally, you just are kicked out of your house and sent 5 houses down the street, and, once you get there, you're just kicked out. So that's basically what happened to the Agawam, to these tribes are the way they saw the land wasn't we're like, "Well, if we're not in the kitchen, if they need to grow
Mm,
crops over here, we're not using that land right now because it's not the season or whatever." But
mhm,
eventually, this fighting and this is what happens with the King Philip's War, um, is that these different bands and groups of Native Americans um, had to pick sides, and they didn't always pick the right sides. I know the Mohawks, not all some of the Mohawks were with the French, some were with the English, so it was just a a brewing pot for everybody of contention and violence, even amongst your
right,
own tribe because you were
right.
getting messed with so bad. We can pause.
Sorry. Okay, it's out. It's done. Oh,
Mm, I know,
sorry.
I got it, you got it.
Keep going.
My kitty keeps knocking my okay.
I love that is such a great way to describe it.
Yeah,
And
they're trying to
these
be good hosts at first, but these people are just so toxic and just dysfunctional that they
I
run you
mean,
out of your house.
toxic is the word because they had I mean, on from the colonist lens, they'd had got on a ship again that they left behind all their world, like going to Mars almost, and sitting on
Yeah,
that ship and with sick people and dead people and da da da. They were amped up and freaky when they landed in the colony. Like, even if
yes.
they were not their best selves
And the way that,
and not
is
good
it
guests.
yes, who's the guy? Who's the original? Is it Bradford that was with the
Yes.
Plymouth colony? And he described landing I have it somewhere, but he described what it feels like to be the pilgrim that lands on crosses cold ocean and lands on land with no innkeeper to take you in and no warm pot of
Wow.
food waiting for you. You're just left stranded in your mind on this land and have to make something out of it. So it's just the question is always, well, could it have gone better? I don't know. Could it have gone better? I don't know. Does it go better anywhere that somebody comes and occupies your land and has it ever gone well?
That's such a good question. I think about that the whole time we're here, even back to our Agawam discussion about what if the women were the only ones in the room, and as leaders, the Agawam leaders could have guided what how would that have changed, you
Yeah.
know? But really there was no you have to think of it almost as like I think in space today, I don't know why, because I keep thinking
Okay.
about that comet coming or whatever.
Oh,
But
yes.
but I was thinking about that. Like, what if just trying to I'm here on Earth, here comes these weird people, but not just from one culture, but from many over slowly over hundreds of years. Like, you're the frog in the water, slowly your land's
Yes.
encroached and people are making deals with you. The indigenous peoples not only had to know all the languages of their surrounding nations to
Yes.
trade, but they also had to learn Dutch, English, Spanish, and learn it to save their lives. Like,
Right,
it
to
was
survive, my baby.
so I don't know.
Well, so we'll start there, but so we'll start with just how it just started going so wrong. I mean, we know it went wrong, right? When even before our people got there were smallpox epidemics, but just what led up to 1675 as the King Philip's War,
Okay, good.
and the
That
attitudes the what
1675?
1675 was it through 1676. It wasn't very long. King Philip is a name I've heard a couple different things on how his actual name is Metacom, and he is
Oh,
yeah, that's
well, that's right.
his name. He's a Native American man, I don't have what tribe he's from, believe it or not. I have all the tribes that are, um
Checking.
Metacom's side. Well, you have the ironic thing is, so the Wampanoag people are the people that we had Thanksgiving with, right? Those were our
Mhm.
allied people from the get-go, and we're only talking 1620 through 1675, so we're talking
Yeah.
how many
Whatever
years?
that is.
Okay, not that long.
A few. More than
Yeah,
yeah.
1630s through 1675, 3, 4, 5, 6, 40 years, right? So, and those were their friends, and they had Thanksgiving, and now Metacom has the Wampanoags. I do think that's who he's with. I could be wrong. He could
I
be
can
Nipmuc.
I will produce and
Okay.
verify.
He might be Nipmuc. But anyway, um, and now they're
You
kind
I'm sorry, you are right.
it's Wampanoag or
Mhm.
Nipmuc? Wampanoag, okay.
Wapano.
So, he has a brother too, and they both are given kind of nicknames. So some people say that the English gave him the nickname of King Philip to kind of make fun of him. Other people say that he was Christianized, and that was the Native Americans at that point in 1673 or 4, leading up to the war, were getting English names too to be called. It was just simpler.
Oh, and
So
were they adapting them themselves or were they
that some of the things I
being
read
told?
said that his family or that he selected that name, who knows, but King Philip's War is not a king of England or anything, it's Metacom, a Wampanoag man, and, had just
How
had
does
enough, and
and
he
so Wampanoag man sorry, and I won't talk
no,
anymore.
questions are good because I start talking too much.
But the Wampanoag man, this stemmed from, like, when we were talking last time, we were kinda in the 50s, right? 1650s?
Mhm, when the Mary
And that's
Parson
the what war was going on with was
so
that
the
when everyone was gathered together?
Pequot War,
Sorry,
I started at
I'm
1655. The Pequot War was before that, and they had been having skirmishes like 1660 to 1670s with the fur trade and with, just everything they were doing, the land, getting the land. There were always skirmishes. It was always
okay,
a fear, and actively, like we talked about, your kid could go out in the woods and not come back, and he's off to
right.
Canada or wherever. So there was N the picture that it was so black and white and so one side, this side, doesn't work. It's
Yeah,
it's micro problems
right.
happening, and some get along, some don't. Um, Even the Mohawks end up being, like I said, divided amongst themselves, even through
Okay,
French connections and British connections. On the whole, they
okay,
were pro-British, but the later on in Deerfield is they play a big part in that with the French. But anyway,
okay. Sorry, thank
so
you. So
so when you
Wampanoag,
read about it no, it's you're right. When you read about it, it's this little skirmish here and this little raid here and this town was burnt here of all these years leading up to it. And this band of Wampanoags were take taken and put into a praying town, like both bad things are
yeah,
happening both sides.
okay,
So by the time you get to the King Philip's War, you do have Springfield's established in 1675. So Springfield has grown so much. It's our original town. They've got Longmeadow. They've got West Springfield across the Connecticut River. They've taken over the land that had been Agawam's. Um, and they've got the wood lots, to the
mm,
east. So they have grown. You've got our Hartford, Hatfield, Deerfield, Hadley, all these towns, these frontier towns are
pushing
established.
north,
Yeah,
okay,
north, yep. And, so there's skirmishes and stress with that. So,
You were
I
talking about Wampanoag.
yeah,
Sorry.
so he starts an alliance with the tribe. So he gets the Wampanoag tribe. I wish I was from there and I would know how to say these so easy. I think about growing up in Cleveland, how easily we said like Cuyahoga and Mohawk and Mohegan and,
Yeah.
um, but I
We'll do
don't.
our best to honor
Yes,
them.
okay. So Wampanoag, and which one guy I think said Wapanag. I don't know. Narragansett. These are the tribes he was
Well,
getting,
yeah.
and these are all Massachusetts. These are
Oh,
all if you're going from Springfield to Boston, you're cutting through all these lands, and
okay.
there's a trade. He's not getting random people, he's getting their neighbors. So the Narragansett, the Nipmuc, which is a big one, Pocumtuck, Podunk, Nashaway, so that's so far 6 different tribes, and the Abenaki,
Mm.
and those are all getting together to fight these colonists. So, it's scary, and then
So
when you
they've
read. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So they've had an they realize the way they've been working it, massaging it is not working and they gotta fight
Yes, and
together.
what happens at the very end of this, what I think the match to the powder keg was, is that these genius Pynchon and the governors come up with a plan on how to subdue the Native Americans, and it's going to be kidnapping their kids. So they
Right.
start
Right.
kidnapping these tribes' children, holding them hostage and saying, "You can have them back when you start behaving better." Oh, where's my notes?
That is such bad medicine
Oh,
because
it's
you mentioned at the
terrible.
beginning of this, the settler's perspective of your kid could be taken in the field,
Yes,
but so could theirs.
yes, and it's interesting now we come back to it in a beautiful, sad, sick, whatever way. I don't know what it is, I don't have a word for it, but everything witch trials, we talked about how, uh, women in their sad moments with their children, that's when they got the most distressed, or it's children are the catalysts or the pawns or whatever for all of everything dumb that adults do, I think, or maybe
Well,
noble that adults do
especially
too, but
in a world that counts their treasures, they they need these children who represent the future to
yeah,
stay on that land to keep their legacy,
yeah,
you know? So you steal a child from either side, you're stealing their future.
right, and they both had ulterior motives, so, like, we talked about the Iroquois nation or they needed to replenish their villages, and that was also
Mm,
spiritual for them because the
right.
more people in a tribe, the more spiritual energy and power, and for the English, it was, um, they were trying to convert. They were also trying to build spiritual power by having more Christians, so they had praying towns and conversion, and they did a lot. I was surprised how, um, weighted the praying Indians were in a lot of these wars. There were a lot of them, more than I thought, that converted to
More that had
Christian.
converted. When
Yeah,
they converted, did they abdicate their role in their tribes?
not always.
Okay.
I mean, the colonists did try to get them to praying towns and get them kinda, to form communities of their own. But that's the thing, there was no definite thing happening, so you still had information being shared between enemy and friend, and because there were, these are families, and, you know, I don't think everybody just cut families off,
Right.
you know? So, anyway, we'll talk about, and this probably won't be a very long episode, but, um
Oh, well, I can tell you, if you don't mind,
no, please.
I have a map I can put up of the praying towns
Ooh,
in
cool.
1674.
Perfect.
You want me to do that right now?
Yeah, and if
Okay.
it doesn't work right now, we can put it up in a
Yeah, we
minute.
can put it up later too.
Do I have a Praying Town map? I'm jealous now. What?
I sent it to you.
Oh, I wonder if I printed it out.
Window. Here it is. Okay. So are you seeing it?
No. Yes. Okay.
When you're seeing my whole data.
I know.
Jeez. So 1674. So Sarah's mentioning praying towns. This is the year before King Philip's War, right?
Mhm.
So what the in what you're saying, the effort to control or, what however they look at it, they actually began an earlier version of the reservations and rounding up tribes and putting them in so-called praying towns, um, in a more institutionalized genocide
And am I
almost.
seeing that there's 13, at least
Yes, look
13?
at that. They're everywhere. And so you can
Wow.
see why that would signal, even for, you're saying King Philip converted, correct?
I don't know if he converted. He did get a Christian name, English name,
I mean, if
and they didn't always do that because they converted. They would do that just so they could trade or associate or communicate better,
okay,
you know?
yeah,
So yeah, there's 2. Some people think he gave it to himself or his family gave it to him, and some people think that it was a mockery kinda thing, naming him that. Oh,
okay. So, I mean, not only are they establishing English colonies, they are now building towns for the native peoples. And it'd be like your back to your house analogy. It'd be like, well, you were in the upstairs bedroom suite with the bathroom, but now you need to be down in the basement with
yes.
the
Uh-huh.
in your own house.
In your own house, being told what room to go to.
So
And you're
you
just
can
trying to stay in your house and make it work, but so when you click out, don't do stop, do the telephone guy
where right now?
on the bottom to get out of the screen
Okay.
sharing.
So, oh, don't hit stop. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yay, okay. Yay, okay.
That was a
I
close
always hit
one.
stop, okay.
That
'Cause I'm
okay.
gonna share a map in a minute, and I'm, like, making sure I look.
Now I'll be quiet because
No, I love it. That's
I've
so
been
important.
confused about King Philip.
But you could see how mad if you weren't
Oh,
getting converted and you were pure to yourself and your tribe, how you're just seeing this slowly. Now you're not allowed in the basement because they're praying down there and it's
and
like
you're not praying
and
right.
you're not praying, so you have to stay in the hallway. So anyway, so 1675, a lot of our people from Springfield, a lot of our men went off to fight these wars. And so you do see and you can see how these attacks gain momentum, um, and just got worse and worse and worse. And the way that Pynchon writes, I have his letters, the way he writes about it leading up, it's just every letter, and it's violent, and it's both ways, and it's um, English, Brit colonists attacking tribes people and tribes people scalping and attacking um, the colonists.
Well,
So
and it's not just the men. I've got a book on our sources list of violent women and how living this way created,
interesting,
they did some raunchy the women when you're messing with children on both sides, you're not going to worry so much about pleasantries.
right? So,
So some of our women were scalping people as well.
wow.
Yeah, they got gnarly.
Well,
Er,
there was a declaration, I don't have it, but the attitude towards how to fight them changed about this time too. And I'm using, the Deerfield Massacre by James Swanson, and he has some pretty cool videos on YouTube too, talks about this book. But he says that, um, about this time, the thought of the Indians were changed into compared to fighting with dogs. So it went from fighting with people and men to now we have to think of them as dogs. Um, he said, if the Indians were as other people are and did manage their war fairly after the manner of other nations, so basically line up in a row and have formations, it might be looked upon as inhuman to pursue them in such a manner. But um, at this point, they are using dogs to fight dogs. They're using hounds and dogs to go into the woods and hunt out the Native Americans, and
Really?
so
Like,
this is them
literally?
kinda justifying how that's so inhumane to use dogs to find man, you know?
I didn't know they were doing that.
Yeah, he says, "But they are to be looked upon as thieves and murderers, and they do acts of hostility without proclaiming war." So there's just so they haven't proclaimed war, so they shouldn't be doing violent things, but once you
No,
proclaim war, you can do whatever you want, right?
but you can complain about the other side not lining up and playing fair. Meanwhile,
Right.
you're letting your hounds out.
Yes, right, and this is, um they don't appear openly in the field to bid us battle. They use those cruelly that fall into their hands. They act like wolves and are to be dealt with as wolves. And wolves in this time were the number one animal enemy. So to be called a wolf is to be called something pretty scary. You know, that was saying something. There's a story of Miles Morgan's son, I think, who, when the
Yeah?
river was frozen, every town has you get a bounty for every wolf you kill, and so he shot a wolf in mid-river. So the river was frozen, so he shot a wolf on the river between, I think it was Hadley and some other town. So both towns paid him. He got double bounty, so for killing a wolf. I just thought that was interesting, but
Well, tell me, okay, keep going.
well, go ahead.
Um, Wolves are very important symbolically in the tribal lore, right?
Yes.
That's almost like attacking. You're symbolically, let's kill all the wolves. It's
Yes.
metaphoric for,
Exactly. Yeah,
ooh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting. Um, so that's kind of the attitude that was shifting now too to this warfare of like, well, we could never do that to humans because we don't fight that way. But if we consider them dogs and wolves, then we can just have at it, right? We don't have to fight the same way
Well,
we were taught
and
to
and
fight.
that is fascinating because that's how all their ancestors did it to get themselves. That's how people today do it to make someone not human anymore
Yes, and yeah,
in order.
dehumanize them.
Yeah,
You get lots done when you dehumanize them.
yeah, you do. Mechanism of war.
Hmm.
You make compacts with the devil.
Yes. And then one other thing on page 39 talks about then that went into that attitude turned into action. So there was a declaration against the Pennacook and the Eastern Indians. And this is later, but this is kind of the attitude that was happening. Um, basically, you got paid per scalp, like you were saying. So every scalp you brought in of a Native American, you could get paid for.
So they replaced the beaver trade with the
A
human
scalp
scalp
trade,
trade.
I guess. Okay, and then one more thing before we get into, like, the nitty-gritty of the attack on
This is
Springfield.
you have great nitty-gritty. Let's keep going.
Um, we had talked about how there were weird things happening, right? Supernatural things. There were caterpillars falling from the sky, two moons, that was 46, but just they're very aware of weird things happening,
Mhm.
and I didn't see any in Pynchon's letters, so I don't think the upper echelon were talking that much about the supernatural signs. They were more talking about logistics and God. They talk a lot about God and what God's thinking and what God wants to have done. But the people were paying attention to weird things happening and attributing that to how, you know, things that are coming. So I guess before in 1675, and this happened again in 1704, they started hearing. Did I say this before? They started
No.
hearing ominous sounds in the woods, like weird supernatural,
I read that too.
yeah,
Like
sound
weird booms and
booms and horse
thunderclaps.
hooves and things like that that weren't they c they're at this point, they know the sounds of the Native Americans across the river, and these were just weird, beating drums, were or artillery sounds, kinda like, um, so he says, "Every untoward event was imputed to supernatural causes." So anything that was wrong or bad, they put towards supernatural. And then he talks about the kids getting sick, cows, blah, 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 and then eventually it leads to the witchcraft fear.
Yeah.
And so you've got these super heightened, stressed out people who are now you have
Well, and you have real, if we're just talking Springfield, I don't think we've talked a lot about the Native American forts.
no, so let's go there.
Okay.
Perfect. Yay.
But
Oh,
but
okay. So
I'm
you've
letting you
been
lead.
there. So is Long Hill is where so Pynchon, William Pynchon, then John Pynchon, they all move into Springfield, take over. The Agawam people get to have a fort up on Long Hill, and it's the south side, I'm thinking,
Mhm,
and it's up on a hill, and
mhm.
from there, you can look down and see all of Springfield, and it's where they built their fort, and
And
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
It's a it's a place where our townspeople went, and they came down from the hill, and they traded, and it wasn't this scary "That's the fort on the hill." It was just that's where the Agawam people lived, you know?
Yeah, because it had been there for what's interesting is it had been there a long, long, long time. Like, it was established. When they came to Springfield and Connecticut Valley, everyone knew not to what to mess with their fort. The fact that they had built a fort means that they'd been dealing with the French and the
And their own
white.
other tribes, yeah.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
other tribes, and what's remarkable about the fort is there's videos on YouTube that talk about it, but they had actually the whole hill that goes down to our wooded lots in Springfield and the town is filled with, pottery shards, sharp objects, rocks. It's barricaded. So the whole hill is fortified up
Yeah,
to the top of the fort, and the fort can accommodate, I think, up to 300 to 600 people.
yeah, they had
So
500. Mhm.
So you're saying there's 500 Native Americans maybe joining and
Yeah, so not yet. So when the time the
okay,
Springfield knows about this fort, it's not
it's
it's
helpful, right? It's
yeah,
where
it's
they
just
yeah,
another part of town you go. Thomas Cooper, who, we know as possibly his wife was the midwife, right? And
right.
he's a lawyer, he helped build the meeting house, he's just this man of all trades. He can speak Abenaki, so he can speak or Algonquin, I think. He can speak
Mhm.
the language, he's establishing trade routes all up and down the Connecticut River. I mean, he's in
Wow.
business with the Native Americans, and so it wasn't this big, uh, looming thing up on the hill until these King Philip Wars started, and Pynchon knew what was going on east of them, and in 1675, all that mayhem finally made it over to the Connecticut River Valley, and so, kind of unbeknownst to the Springfield residents, I think at this time then they were, building up the fort and having garrisons and palisades and things like that around the fort
Yeah,
to
that's what
protect
it
you.
is.
Yeah, and so then the people down in the village in Springfield were picking houses, which houses will be the garrison house.
Mm.
So, Widow Bliss, her house is going to be one. Miles Morgan, his bunk house is going to be one. Pynchon's house is awesome. It's the only one made of brick, and it's fortified and so strong, and and that's good for him. And
He's not one of ours, is he? Or is he Brandon's? He's
he's my
somebody's.
My children are all Pynchon descendants, yes.
Okay, good for the yeah,
Good
they
for
were
them.
safe then, good for them.
Yeah, and whatever. And, Jonathan Bert's house. So they've got these houses that are gonna be garrisons, right? So, a little bit more fortified, a little bit more food, um, and then the town itself has a gate around it, I think, unless now I'm getting confused with
No, that
Deerfield.
makes sense.
Yeah, I think there
Yeah.
is. So anyway, well, they're slowly both sides are starting to build up protections just in case the riffraff from the east make our don't worry. But there are, again, it's a stressful time, and there are actual different tribesmen that come in and mess with the Springfield residents. And Pynchon is arresting them. There were two different tribe, not Agawam, that were tried and executed in Springfield. So and hung,
Oh,
in
uh,
Springfield, and so it's getting really heated and stressful. Plus, you're sending your sons out to fight this King Philip's War. Your husband are leaving to go fight battles in other cities, leaving you and your kids in your town, maybe not so protected, but don't worry, it's all happening over to the east and blah blah blah, you know.
mhm.
And were you gonna say something?
No, I'm
No.
listening, I love this.
Okay. So um down this is interesting. Down in Hartford, there's the Walcotts, and I don't know if you recognize the name Walcott. Walcott will be they're wealthy, and there is a Walcott girl from a wealthy family who is one of the screaming teenagers from the witch trials, which will be in 20 years. So we're 1675, witch trials are
Okay.
1692, but that name is down in Hartford, and they have a Native American, they call him an indentured servant. Okay. Probably slave, but whatever, um, named Toto, not Tonto, Toto,
Yes, yes, yeah.
and he is kinda has his ear to the ground on what's going on, and he hears that there's a large group of other tribes. Agawam tribes live in Springfield, they're native to it, but now we've got Nipmuc, we've got Potomac, Wampanoag that are all going into this fort, and by the time he speaks up about it, there's 500, like you're saying, 500 hostile tribes, Indians in the fort planning something, right? And what he
Yeah,
finds out is that
and
on
it's about
October
time.
yeah, they're
Sorry.
getting organized. On October 4th, 1675, he says they're going to attack Springfield. Well, October 4th in the morning, is this right? Pynchon, later he'll blame someone else for this decision, but he sends off all of their soldiers to head up to Hadley
Yeah.
because they think that's where the next
Even though
attack's
they've got this fort in the backyard, but
all
they
these they don't know it yet because Toto didn't tell him yet. So, Pynchon sends your husband and your strong sons and your militia off to some other town to go protect it. And then here comes Toto saying, "Oh, no, you're the guys. You're next, and it's tomorrow." And there's 500 hostile, non-Agawam people up there on the hill, ready to take over. And so letters are sent, messengers are sent out because the Springfield men were up north with Pynchon, and then some were over, I think, west with Applegate or someone, I don't know,
mm.
some other unit was across the Connecticut River west going to protect some other town. So October 4th comes,
So
everybody.
it's fall, it's getting cold.
Yes, so you grab your food, you grab your kids, and you run over to the Bliss's garrison house or the Burt's garrison house or Miles Morgan's, and you're all there, and I don't know if it was Chapin, maybe it was Holyoke, brought his whole library, his books, running,
Oh!
and everybody's getting ready, it's October 4th, it's gonna happen, and they sit, and they sit, and nothing happens. Crickets. Nothing
But think
happens.
about the sounds they're hearing all around them,
Yeah, and are they hearing stuff from up on the fort? Are they not
and who's
hearing
in the
anything?
swamp hanging out again.
Yes,
Yeah.
just nothing happens. And so they think Toto's an idiot, right? Or he's
Yeah. Let's blame
so they
They're
go
not
back
even
to their
worried about the devil anymore. They're
I
just
know,
like,
let's get back to the witches. So
mhm.
they bring all their stuff back home. He brings his books back home.
They
You
only
bring your
wait
kids
one
back
day.
home.
They
They
think
think
it's
that
gonna be that prompt.
yeah. So they
Okay.
go home. Well, then they're like, "Okay, let's send Thomas Cooper because he can speak their language, and let's send Thomas Miller," who we know Thomas Miller. Thomas Miller is the I guess we don't.
We do know Thomas
We know and
Miller.
love Thomas Miller. He gets
Yeah,
sent with Thomas Cooper to go up to the fort and just check it out. And they're like, "Hey guys, we heard this weird rumor. Um, or maybe to see are there actually 500
yeah,
Indians up
to
there?"
kinda scout it out, probably.
Yeah, and also Thomas Cooper knows all of them and they're friends with them. And
You're
they
right, because he
they
speaks all the languages, and they've been trading
yeah.
partners.
So he heads up. He's not worried at all. Speculation is that he wouldn't have been scared or worried at all. He's just gonna go find out what in the world. And they get up the hill, like you're saying, kind of up that road, and they get shot. And so Thomas Miller is instantly killed, just dead. Thomas Cooper is wounded and he gets on his horse and he rides like hell down the hill. And behind him, up in the fort, Agawam people had heard the gunshots and they weren't really sure this was going to happen. There's accounts saying that these local Agawam people were not on board with all of it. It was these out of towner people from the
Mhm,
east stirring things up.
mhm,
And they were the ones most likely that had shot Cooper and Miller. But as soon as all those 500 people heard the gunshot, then they got their arrows. They were ready, and it was on, right? So they're heading down the hill behind Thomas Cooper, and they're burning things and shooting cows and just blaze. Basically, they're blazing the town. So
mhm.
Thomas Cooper gets all the way to Jonathan Burt's house, I'm pretty sure. And um
But everyone's not garrisoned anymore.
no,
They're
they're in
all
their homes again. They're in their
birthing their
homes.
babies and making their
Yeah, they're like, that
medicine.
was false alarm, which
"Let's make
they
some
had
pudding."
yeah, right, back to normal. So Thomas Cooper drops dead, but Jonathan Burt sees he gets far enough to warn Jonathan Burt this is happening, and he dies right there. And so now the town is in mayhem, and people are running, grabbing now whatever they can to get to these garrison homes. And Pentecost Matthews, we know Pentecost Matthews, Samuel Matthews.
Her.
She's getting her stuff and she gets shot. And so these tribesmen don't just have arrows and it's they have guns now at this point. And I think they have I wrote it down flint. Sorry, kitty. What's it called? King's
Because
sword
they are
or
they have learned strategy the same way the early Britons had learned from the Romans who conquered them.
exactly.
They had learned they're everyone is evolving to be horrible people together.
Yeah, we're spreading the, the humanity. Sorry, my
Yeah.
kitty's on my nose. Okay.
We oh, wow, it really is.
Um And not that this gun is important. It's a flintlock or something. It's a pistol. Maybe not.
So
But it
it's
only
not a
has like a
shotgun.
yeah, and it's the range is really crappy. I don't know if I'll see it after we're done. I'm sure.
Why do they choose that over because it carries more
Think
shots or something?
think they were getting sold them and traded, you know?
Maybe the Dutch were supplying arms for them
Maybe.
to
Oh, flintlock has less than 50 yards, so they had to get pretty close. So Pentecost Matthews is grabbing all her stuff and she gets shot and she dies right there at the doorstep. And so, the I guess I'm gonna call them Indians because that's what the story tells them. Or
Yeah.
whatever,
I mean, that's the context of
the
the
group.
source material calls them that.
Okay, so they're cruising through town. This is the map I wanted to show you
Okay.
without stopping the recording. Oh, end session for all. We don't wanna do
What?
that.
We're
Okay.
back on it.
No, I didn't. Wow, don't touch the red telephone either then. Okay.
I'm afraid to touch
Maybe I'll
anything.
put up the map after. Anyway, here's the map.
Well, okay. Yeah, that's the town map. I think I have that. I
Yeah,
can
so this is Long Hill, and here
Okay.
they all this is where Thomas Cooper and Thomas Miller were shot. They're running, running,
Oh,
running, running, burning, 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 and they get to Margaret Bliss's house first, which is where
Margaret Bliss, the mother
that's
of
the
the
first.
witches.
Yes. That's the first garrison house, and they
Okay.
can't really get into that, but they try. And then
Um, okay.
sorry, and now I need my
So
other one.
that would hold in that part of town, you've got all those people, the Pentecost, you've got the Welsh people.
But yeah.
Um,
Plus, remember, a lot of people have land down here, and we're not in Longmeadow. Longmeadow is south
mm-mm.
of Long Hill. So people in Longmeadow, we're gonna be okay, but we are in the town. Um, okay,
Okay.
that's Deerfield. Hi, kitty. So this is so October 5th, that's the morning. They're killed, blah, blah, blah. Ran to John Burr, he died. Long Hill heard gunshots. Da, 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 da. Oh, the person leading the pack of
Yeah.
this group is called Wakagam. Wakagam.
Oh, okay.
He's the guy that sold the land to William Pynchon way back when. So he's like their main contact point
He's
person, ally, is leading
he's
this
got a
group.
lot of karma to fix. Like,
Yeah,
imagine if
right.
you were the one who had made that deal.
Yeah.
That would
So
be awful.
so they get through town, they get all the way up to Miles Morgan's house, which is pretty far uptown. I
It
mean,
is far uptown.
yeah,
Eh,
here's Long Hill, they've made it to Margaret Bliss's, which is right about here. Here's
right?
Miles Morgan's house way up here, burning, burning, burning. While this is happening, you've got a whole other town over on the west side of the river, across the Connecticut River, who are literally the other guy's group of soldiers show up, and they're standing on the banks of this Connecticut River, and it's a big, huge river, right?
Yeah, it's huge.
And they try to get in the boats to come across, but every time they do, they get shot at by the Indians, and so they're stranded, stuck, help, there's no bridge,
No.
watching Springfield get burnt to the ground and hearing the gunshots and the screams and people running, and some of these people are their family, these are the men
Yeah.
returning back to their town that they had left, and they're just standing helpless for 2 hours trying to get over. Um, and then Pynchon is in, and we have to remember the cool thing, we learned this in the Deerfield too, is that when a town is getting attacked and there's gunshots and everything, other towns can hear it. So you don't
It's
have
true.
to have a messenger ride like hell. The other
Yeah.
town's gonna hear what's happening too or
Yeah, and see
see
the
it.
smoke
Yes,
and
right.
yeah.
So Pynchon is over not far, and he hears it, and he learns about it, and he hears it. So can you imagine? This is his town. He gets his group back together, just major guilt because was the one who had sent all these soldiers away, and they start heading back. And they're coming from the north. I think they're coming from Hadley or Northampton or
Mhm.
something up north. They're coming from the north. You've got the guys coming from the west, and this town is getting burnt, and all their corn's getting burnt. They weren't really going to kill people. There's not a lot of people that
Okay.
died.
What was
Really,
their point? Was it to just make living there not
get them
possible?
out, wipe them out. Yeah,
Mhm.
and Springfield was that's where Pynchon was. Pynchon was arrested. It was but they made it all the way up. So what the Indians had done is they had sent their youth and non-fighting age boys to sit up on this hill called Long Hill, So then
Smart.
when Pynchon and his troops do come from the north, they can alert their people and, like, "Okay, time to go." So you've got
Yeah.
these boys sitting up here on the hill waiting. You've got the bigger group burning, 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 burning. Pynchon's house is up here, and they get to Pynchon's house, and it is so fortified and so strong and so garrisoned, and that the Indians don't even bother with it. They just go around and burn everything else. They burn the mill, they burn the sawmill and the
Oh,
grist mill,
wow.
which is the grinding the corn mill. Um, so, like, 30 out of 45 houses are burned, all the barns are burnt. It's just destroyed, just completely burned. The men on the other side of the river finally do get to come over, but as soon as these boys up on Long Hill see Pynchon and his group coming down, they send the alarm and all of the Native Americans scatter, gone.
Well,
So,
they just disappear,
are gone.
so they don't take them on, this
No,
group.
there's
They've
no
done what they
battle.
came to do.
Yeah, and they're gone. And the sad thing is that, well, there's a lot of sad things, but the Agawam never go back home. They scatter, they're
Oh,
gone, and that's it. They're done. They're gone.
oh,
That's it.
they don't go to the fort
They don't
and
go back to their fort. They don't get to come back and make apologies or explanation. The British don't make apologies to them and welcome them back, like, nothing.
it's just a day of reckoning.
Yeah.
It's like a visual description of what's happened since
Yes,
1624.
it all manifested into this moment, and they are gone. Their house, so the analogy of the house, now your house is every room is occupied, there's no room for you. You tried one last fight to try to get your house back, and you're kicked to the curb and sent down the road. They, um most of them went to New York, but a lot of them went up to Canada, which I think is why you have a lot of then they make, they get with the French and the Na tribes up there or whatever, but yeah, pension, so that's the real tragedy to me,
And
is that
then
these
and
people lost
yeah,
their home.
yeah, it just was. And I also think on the other, from the lens of the colonies people, our people living there, it's so when Springfield was at its height, like had 15 babies in the year of 1654 or whatever, you know, doing witch hunts, they could do trade, they were making money, they were, growing. You've had another generation of kids kind of grow up. So by
Mhm.
1675, you've got extended families living all up north and south. So it's not just another village anymore, it's your family,
Yeah,
which is similar to what the Native Americans had to,
for
their
sure.
tribes and their clans. And,
Yep.
so it's a very emotion, pathos filled moment, you know?
Yes, for everyone.
Yeah.
And, Pynchon, he writes, in his first letter, he wrote about 5 letters about it. He
Okay.
dispatched letters. This is what he wrote on October 5th, that day it happened, to a reverend. And he says, "The Lord will have us lie in the dust before him. We that were
Mm,
full are emptied." And he's speaking for his people and his village, but
yeah.
really he's speaking for every single human being that has been dealing with this experiment, right? And he kinda gives a rundown. He says, "When we came back, we saw the town most in flames. At our approach, the Indians drew off because those boys on Long Hill had warned them. 30 dwelling houses burnt, and then later that goes up." So this is what he's writing the first day. He hasn't done a full assessment, I think, yet. 24 to 25 barns are burnt.
Hmm.
He said, "It seems to answer our prayers by terrible things in righteousness." So he's saying that all the answers to the prayers for how to be righteous and get into heaven are answered by horrible things, you know? Um,
Yeah. Like I mean, they must have, I never get the feeling that they felt mad at God. I got the feeling they knew they were sinning. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
he
know.
says in a letter on October 20th to his son, he writes, "The sore contending of God with us for our sins, unthankfulness for former mercies, and unfruitfulness under our precious enjoyment hath evidently demonstrated that God is very angry with this country."
Mm.
And he
Wow.
then he says, "God having given the heathens a large commission to destroy his people." So he's seeing again that it's kind of their fault that this has happened and that for
Yeah.
some reason they're not, you know, being
Yeah.
blessed by God for something that they're doing. So in the end, there were 3 people totally that died that day.
Okay. Oh, just 3 that
Pentecost
died.
Matthews, Thomas Cooper, Thomas Miller, but there are 3 others that were wounded and died later, and I will say their names too because they matter. Um, Nathaniel Brown, Richard Waite, John Dumbleton, and Edmund Pendergrass all died later from wounds or and then there was a siege, so that happened October 5th, but they had to get it through the winter. Pynchon didn't
Right.
let them leave. He was a little bit sneaky about it, is that he would garrison all the men, so he made all the men militia, and then if you left, you were a deserter and you're gonna get killed, right? So you had to stay.
Well, and he had to protect his material interests with his
Uh-huh,
warehouse, he's
uh-huh.
got all these trading goods, you
Yeah,
know?
and he doesn't wanna leave this land, and he writes in letters and laments about it and kinda struggles with it, but he does not want to leave this land, and he does not want anybody to leave. So this town has to make it through this winter, sharing home. Everybody's crowded up in homes. They're starving. There's no corn. Deacon Samuel Chapin dies, and they
Mm,
attribute it to the hardships of this winter and the siege. And I think Holyoke dies too, and one other, maybe Henry Burt. They lose 3 of their really important founders during this siege. The older, so it's just hard. Continues to be
yeah.
hard. But they do rebuild, which is amazing because when you look at the court records, this is kind of a a little pause, but not much, and then they kick right back into court records
Suing
and
each other and stuff?
yeah, reestablishing they all have their land, they're gonna rebuild.
Wow.
Pynchon is going gangbusters with all his Barbados and, all his other things he's got going on, and they rebuild.
So do they rebuild with help from England or with help from the larger Boston area or
Yeah.
just through pensions businesses?
I don't know for sure. I know in all his letters he's is asking for help. He takes a pause on being having so many jobs he does. They rebuild but people I think have to pay for their material again. I don't think there's insurance back then. This is maybe why a lot of them do end up dying bankrupt and beholden to pension.
Oh, because they're in debt twice.
They're in debt twice maybe. Or if they did get out of debt by this time, now they're back in debt.
Yeah,
Um
yeah.
so let's talk a little bit about our since this is our last episode of the season, I think, right?
I think so, and that's yeah.
Maybe? Or we don't have to. But I wanna
Well,
talk a little bit about our
yeah,
people and what happened with them and
because 'cause we're
Mary
gonna say
Brooke.
goodbye to Springfield
We are gonna
today.
say goodbye to Springfield today, I think.
Mhm.
Not our last episode ever.
No, because 'cause we've got big
We got
doings
lots to
coming up.
talk about.
We're not done
We're not
destroying
done.
lives.
Yes. Um, a lot of these people do eventually move, and a lot of them are people, Stebbins well, people get married and they have kids. So Mary Burt, and William Brooks moved to
Oh,
Deerfield,
mhm.
right? A lot
That's
of
up
their kids
north.
up north moved to Deerfield.
Stebbins.
Stebbins goes, Thomas so Roland Stebbins is the founder, his son, and then his grandson, Joseph Stebbins, goes to Deerfield with his family. We have, a Chapin, Hannah Chapin, who was a niece of our Catherine Chapin. She goes with Sheldon, who that's an important name, goes to Deerfield. And then, we've got a Williams up there, just a lot of people go to Deerfield next, and that's where they're gonna live. The reason why Mary Burt and William Brooks, so Mary's our lascivious woman who had to marry
Yep.
William Brooks, and they had a nice life until Pynchon wanted to collect debts on them. And they
Oh, okay.
couldn't have he bankrupted them, basically. He called in their so this is I don't know. I'll go through all the people Pynchon
Please do.
they're heading up to Deerfield because Pynchon is calling in the company store. Um,
'Cause he needs to rebuild, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So in 1686, so 10 years after. So
Okay.
he probably got and this is William Brooks who's been there since
I know.
he was 40 and 40, so he's like an original guy.
Yeah.
And so he must have been out of debt at some point. So maybe this blazing of it made
I
him get
just
back in
think they
debt.
never it's never it's the way Pynchon built it is you can like the coal towns, it's
Yeah.
generational debt.
So after Pynchon forced William Brooks and Mary Burt, to sell their best land and to settle up debts that he owed. So that's how he got you. You get all these debts and then you're stressing out and Pynchon's like, "Well, I'll buy your land for you, you
Mhm.
know, from you, and here you now your debt's settled." So you walk away with nothing. You have no
Yeah,
land
nothing to show.
and you didn't get money for your land. And so they go to Deerfield in 1686. Um, oh, la, la, la. Jonathan Burt, the house that the first garrison house where during the raid, they call it a raid, you're not supposed to call it a massacre, was, Hugh Parsons' old house.
Ooh, okay.
Huh? Hi, baby. Choo-choo-choo. Thomas Cooper, we talked about them. Anthony Dorchester, yeah, Kappa. Oh, sorry, kitty. Anthony Dorchester, we talked about him. He was Hugh Parsons' roommate. He ended up being the wealthiest man in town, which I wonder if timing worked out with him somehow after this raid.
Well, yeah, you could see people getting their moment to make
Yeah.
good.
Um, John Graves Sr. So a lot of people were killed also by just like this guy was working on a house in Hatfield and a band of Native Americans came and killed him and his
Mhm.
son. So your dad and your husband go out to check out a house and they're killed. Um,
Yeah, and this is when the captivity narratives start,
yes.
um, where women and children are being carried away and,
Yeah,
um
that's coming with yeah.
yeah.
Captain Samuel Holyoke, he dies in 1776 at the Falls Fight Battle, slain by Indians. William Hunter, slain by Indian. Isaac Graves, slain by Indian while working on his son's house. A family of 3 were on their way to church. They were the Keeps, John, Sarah, and their baby Jabez, and they were going to christen their baby. They lived in Longmeadow, so they were heading up to the church in 1776, so a year after this,
So
and they were
1686.
yeah, sorry,
Okay,
1676,
yeah.
a year after the Springfield raid, and they are killed on their way to church, so man,
So
wife, and
just
their baby.
randomly
Yeah, so
randomly, it
showing how
just
things didn't quite end. The war ended, Metacom was killed in 1776, was and, the war officially ended, and the Agawam left, and the Agawam were the never gonna make war with these people anyway.
mhm.
I keep
Right,
getting that.
right.
So but all the other tribes that had come were still there causing, you
Yeah.
know. John Leonard slain by Indians. Samuel Marshfield, so Pentecost husband, he was ruined by pinch and debt. So again, sold his land, had nothing to show for it, kind of died in poverty. Samuel Marshfield. John Matthews, that is, he's the one,
Pentecost,
yeah. Well, no,
but she's
Pentecost.
dead.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, you're right. Pentecost is John Matthews. Samuel Marshfield was the brother of Sarah Miller,
Mhm.
so he was kinda in with the popular crowd. Anyway, John Matthews drank. He was ruined by Pynchon's death. After his wife, Pentecost, was killed, her child became a ward of the state because he couldn't handle it. He was just drunk. Thomas Merrick lived the rest of his life embroiled in lawsuits. Thomas Miller, we talked about him. He was slain by the Indians going up to the fort. He was the
Right?
one that had been arrested for playing cards,
Yeah.
and he also hit a Nipinswit Indian woman with the butt end of his gun, so he was
Wow. I love
I
that you're doing this because I feel like I'm walking through their town as a ghost
yeah,
town now. Like, you
yeah,
kinda remember the good times, like the
right,
pudding being cooked.
right. Miles Morgan died in 1669. He stayed there. His, son in 1676 was slain by Indians, so Prudence and Miles's son killed by Indians. Prudence, we know, died in 1660. George Moxon moved back to England, so they're Reverend Benjamin Munn, the guy who wasn't worried about witchcraft, he just was very, very bothered that anybody would sharpen their saw on the Sabbath. He
He's
died
one of
in
ours.
1675 in the King Philip's War.
Wow. Oh,
La la la, la la la. Nathaniel Pritchard, he drowned. I think he was a kid. Um, William Pynchon moves back to England. Samuel Chapin, he died again in the siege. Bess Sewell moved away with her husband and daughter. I think she's the real witch of the
I think
town, the
she's
one
the
that
real
showed up with the
witch,
pudding.
but we're not starting rumors or
No. Anne Smith, William Pynchon's daughter, they moved back to England with William Pynchon, and she ended up going crazy. So
Really?
Anne Smith, the one that Hugh Parsons was so jealous of because she could buy cloth-covered buttons at the company store. She goes back and she's living with William Pynchon, and he writes in a letter, he's like, "My son is depressed," so Thomas Miller, well, not Thomas Miller, Henry Smith is depressed, and his wife is crazy. So they go back to England and don't have such a great time, and they were the prominent people of Springfield,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, they were the ones that Mary Lewis first came to and was indentured, right? With the 4
Yes,
children
right.
and they had servants, and so
Yes,
she went crazy.
she went crazy. John Stebbins, not to be confused with the Stebbins that moved up to Deerfield. John Stebbins in 1679, so after this event, he died in a weird freak sawmill accident, and
Ooh,
witches were blamed for that, but they don't tell us what witches. Um,
man.
Jonathan Taylor moved away because of pension debt, and died poor in pension debt. And Samuel Wright Jr., we know, Abigail Elizabeth's husband, Mary Bert's
Paramore
something, slain by
entered her 3 times.
Indians. So he died in battle protecting his town because they moved to Northfield, and he died protecting the town. And Francis Ball, he was Abigail's husband, Abigail Burt. He drowned in the Connecticut River. A lot of people drowned trying to cross back
That's what you
over.
were saying,
Reese,
and yeah,
the
lots of people.
Reese Bedortha, do you remember him?
Mhm.
He, um,
Blanche's husband.
yeah, going to church when he was older. So he had his daughter and his granddaughter. on the crossing the river from west of Springfield over to church, drowned in the Connecticut River. Their boat tipped over, and then they're in their heavy woolen church clothes, I'm sure, and just
Well,
sunk to the
and
bottom.
it's a weird river because it's only crossable, I think, once a day, twice a day with the
Oh,
tides.
because of the ferry.
So,
Oh.
certain tide, once a day, they could run across the
Hmm.
river. But just think if you got it's a big, wide
It's
river.
really wide.
So if you get stuck, I could this is me just conjecturing. I have no source material for this other than a video that talks about how once a day they could cross. But
Wow.
so that's pretty treacherous if you've
Yeah,
got a farm, you
right.
know,
Or family, or you have to go to
family
church
or
across the
birthing
river.
babies. You
Yeah,
got to go to church.
yeah,
So it was a weird little spot.
yeah. Okay, so I'll quickly talk about Deerfield, and then we can be done. Maybe it's not so short. So Deerfield up the road, everybody goes to not everybody, but people we have a big interest in go up to Deerfield, and this is in 1704, so now we're talking about post-witch trials,
Mhm.
right? Post King Philip's War. You've got Queen Anne and Queen and King William, I think, in the on the throne in England. We've got a Protestant king and queen, but the French and English brutality or fighting is super intense, and they are
Okay.
and, Deerfield is this idyllic little spot in the most northwesternmost corner of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, right?
Okay.
Basically English territory, and then you've got the French, and, I'll just do this really quickly. So
Just do it.
1704.
It's important
Okay.
because we can
1704.
break it. So
Okay. Um, same situation. So they know that there's trouble. They know that there's fighting. This time it's not just the rambunctious natives, it's French with
okay.
rambunctious natives.
Okay. Yeah.
And so everybody's garrisoned up. They've got gates around their town. They've got a good way of communication. They do have roving militia to protect these towns. Um, and there is kind of rumors that Deerfield is kind of in their sights, so they are kind of expecting something maybe to happen. But it's wintertime, and
Oh,
everybody
okay.
knows nobody attacks anybody in the winter. You just can't. It's
Right.
feet and feet of snow. It's frozen rivers. It's and Canada's so far away. It's 300 miles away. There's just we're gonna be okay. So I'm gonna just okay. So I'm just gonna tell this instead of so up in Canada, the French and the Mohawk and different group tribes. Pause for a minute. Let me find out. I can do them
Mhm.
justice on this. The native allies were the Mohawk, Abenaki, Pocumtuck, Pennacook, Huron, and Wendat forces are getting together with the Canadian soldiers. It's not just that they're getting together with the Canadian forces and soldiers; they're also converting to Catholicism, and so they've got religion involved too. Hi, baby.
Yeah.
And so anytime you have that involved, you've got trouble brewing, right?
Yeah.
So
Trouble and wealth and
trouble
power.
and wealth, yes. There you go. So, so they have a plan up in Canada that they're gonna come attack Deerfield, and it's a crazy plan because 'cause they're gonna do a 300-mile march in the middle of February, January and February, down to Deerfield, and it's the ultimate surprise attack. They also know they're gonna be taking captives because that's what they do, right? This is for the French, they wanna take captives because it's a good trading ransom
Mhm.
tool. For a lot of the tribes, the Iroquois, the Mohawks, they again wanna have it's a mourning war for them. They wanna
Yeah.
replenish their villages. They're not intending to harm these people necessarily if you're the right kind of person, unfortunately. So
But think about the planning involved in that. If you not only have to feed your troops in winter for a
exactly.
300-mile march, you have to account for captives coming
Yes,
back.
and they had to bring correct shoes for these people. They knew they were gonna be taking barefoot shoe even if they did have shoes on, they weren't snowshoes, so they had to pack
So
hundreds
we
and
have the
hundreds.
moccasins and the food again, getting ready
Yes,
for a war.
exactly. You are just I'm gonna go put you over
Mm.
here. He can't get um, yeah, so they had to pack the right snowshoes and everything for these people to make the trip back, so it was highly organized, and, so the night of so it's February February 28th. Oh, dad's birthday, 1704. 200 la, 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 sorry, 300 miles, how many forces? 250 to 300 forces in the woods surrounding Deerfield, quietly, no fires, they can't build a fire, they can't talk, there's no horses, right? So there's no sound, just quietly sitting in the hills around Deerfield, sitting in
So
the
they could
woods.
only bivouac, they could only carry what they didn't have supply carts and
They had brought everything with them, and they're lying in wait, and they're watching. They have one scout that's watching Deerfield to see when is a good time to attack, and, the snow is banked so high that they've built these huge garrisons and palisades in Deerfield, but the snow is so high that you could
oh
just walk right up
no.
it.
Oh no.
So, they have a scout watching for the right time to attack.
But again,
He
why would anyone come in February?
No, you're right, so there's no worries, and the watchman falls asleep, right? And so they're like, "Go." So they attack. They come in through the south gate, they blaze homes, a lot of people run to the basement to hide, and a lot of people die that way. There's a lot of
Oh
people that die in this
wow.
one, and
Yeah,
it's mostly kids.
yeah.
And there's the Reverend John Williams and his family. They, they go to his home, and they kill his slave woman.
Tituba.
It's not Tituba, she's la, 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 what's her name? But Tituba is up there, you're right.
Yeah, she is up
She
there.
does have a
They've got a
Deerfield
monument
connection.
for her up there.
Mhm. Um, and so the idea about bringing back all these captives is you can't bring back pregnant women. You shouldn't bring back pregnant women, obvious pregnant women. No babies, no children that can't walk. So what do you have to do with all those? You kill them. So these are the people that were slaughtered. So John Williams' home, they run in, they grab his baby and his toddler and cut their heads off of them, throw them on the porch. They
These are
make
the
John
French and the natives.
Yes, and
Okay.
and the reporting is the French officers were doing most of the rough stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so they make John Williams, the Reverend, get dressed, he and his wife, and their other kids, 5 other kids, I think, are taken they're taking all the captives and putting them in the center of town. Then they go around, they're taking all these other captives, killing the babies, killing people, the elderly, people that they don't think can they're assessing each person as they go through to see if they can make this trip back. If they can't, they kill them. So in the end, it's 48 villagers are killed, 120 are captured, and, it's 10 men are killed, 9 women are killed, and 25 children are killed in the village. That's in that night. But then the 300 people are gathered and moved across the river and just kind of up to the hill for that night because the other soldiers have arrived and the backup people, and they fought them off, and they're in the village. Oh, and I'm missing the whole part, but if you wanna hear it, there's the door thing and the Stebbins house and
Well, you kinda have to tell it.
okay, I will.
Yeah.
So there's
That
2 big garrison homes. There's the Johns they call it the Asa Stebbins home, but Asa's really was more in the Revolutionary War, but
mhm,
it's the
and it's
people that
still there.
it's still there. Okay, you wanna tell it? You saw it with your
No,
own
I don't wanna tell it at all.
Okay. Um, John Stebbins' home well, first we'll do the Sheldon home. The Sheldon home was awesome. It was everybody ran to the Sheldon home. They're hiding in the Sheldon home. It's working. The doors holding am I wrong, or is it the Stebbins home? Which one got people ran into?
I
Oh,
don't know, but all I'm thinking of is the sounds of
yes,
the women screaming and babies crying and ugh.
yes. I need to get this right, though. Which home was
And it's funny when they talk about a home being garrisoned because, again, not a lot of them were made of bricks. So when they say they were garrisoned, maybe they did double clapboard or
yes,
something, but bullets still went through.
right. So the Stebbins home held, and that's with the door,
Okay.
I think that you can see that the hatchet marks even to this day in the museum, right? And that held. The
Okay.
Sheldon home held until somebody got freaked out and went out the back door, and then all of the French and Indians came in through the back door and killed a lot of people there or took them captives. So the Stebbins home did hold, but then they have their captives and they're up on the hill and they know they have this huge journey and down in the town, everybody, those people, the men, the fathers, because again, they weren't necessarily going to take men. They wanted to take children that could make the journey, who would convert or become part of a
Oh,
village.
oh, so it
Not
had
necess
a religious, like, almost kidnapping slaves and settlers almost for new territories?
Yeah, well, then they weren't the intention wasn't ever to make any of these captive slaves, it was to incorporate them, you could call them slaves, so I guess against their will, for sure,
Yeah,
incorporate
captives.
them into their the French wanted to convert them and make them Jesuit. The Indians, the Mohawks wanted to incorporate them in their villages and convert them to that way of life. So
Okay.
you weren't gonna
Okay.
take the 30-year-old man necessarily.
Mm.
They did, but so the men are in the town and they can hear their wives and children up on the hill. They're not
Oh my
far from each other at
gosh.
all. It's just really snowy and they don't have the
And it's
shoes and
February, and so sounds travel.
yeah, they can hear
Very
them. And so
oh,
they're
wow.
within striking distance of going to rescue these captives. But the problem, and some of them try and they get shot. The problem with that is that they know that the minute the French and Indians realize there's a rescue party coming, they'll just slaughter all the captives. So they could camp that night within shouting distance, basically, but no hope of being rescued. And they knew what they were in for because they're going around passing out the snowshoes and they're slaughtering any small child that made it through that wasn't gonna make the journey. They're slaughtering them, or pregnant women slaughtering. They're kinda weaning down the group to make this 300-mile winter trek back up north. And John
Going
Williams
north, which
north.
winter stays
Yes.
longer.
And John
Wow.
Williams is the reverend, and he we refer to him a lot, A, because he's a reverend, and B, because he wrote about all of this.
Okay.
But Mary Burt's ch 2 of her children were part of these captives, and
But
so that
not
means
her.
not her. She so her
Well, she would
Mary
have been an old woman.
yes, so her son Nathan had a wife named Mary Brooks, and her son Ebenezer and his wife Elizabeth Brooks, they survived in the cellar, but then William Brooks, her grandson, um, they were all taken captive. And so what happens during this journey is it's horrible. Um, our Mary Brooks, so Mary's daughter-in-law, is pregnant. She loses her baby, and she knows that she's so sickly from the miscarriage. She knows she lost the baby that night. She knows she's sickly. She can't make the journey, so she knows tomorrow she's going to get killed. So she has to spend a night. She has got 5 other kids and her
That are
husband.
there with her.
We're there with her, and they all know that in the morning she's gonna get slaughtered because she won't be able to make this journey. She goes to her John Williams, the reverend, to kinda ask, like, last rite. I don't know if they don't do last rites, but pray for me, pray with me. And, he thinks it's because she maybe killed her baby or something, like, he puts a weird twist on it. This no wonder his daughter Eunice didn't like him, but whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's slaughtered the next day. So her kids have to move on. She's got 2 daughters and 2 sons now. And, John Williams' wife, she's slips and falls on the ice, and so she knows she's doomed. She can't make it. So she knows she's dead. He's not with her at the time, and she's hatcheted killed on the trail, and her children see that. And, I'm gonna make a long story short. So they get
Go
to
as long as you
Canada.
want. Do
Okay, they get
get it out.
okay, they get to Canada, this horrible thing, but there's a lot then the negotiations to get all these people back happen, and some go back, some stay. Mary Bert's grandchildren, 2 of her teenage daughters fall in love with French men and change their names to French names, convert to Catholicism, and live happily ever after in
Wow.
Canada with
So they from Catholic England people to Puritans, their generations are now Catholic again.
Mary Bert's granddaughters are 2 of them are Catholic. 2 of her grandsons, these little guys, one was 6 and one was 5, were taken so there was a point where the captives were divided, and some were shipped up to Canada to the French, and some were shipped to different nations, so Iroquois, Mohawk, and they did a good job for some of them of finding and knowing where they were, and even asking, "Do you wanna come back?"
Mm.
And a lot of most many of them, after they were established in these tribes and learning the ways, didn't wanna come back. So Mary Bert's 2 grandsons chose not to come back, and they stayed, and it just became part of that tribe.
Wow.
So not only have just your life changed so much by your home or your family, but now you've got kids up in Canada that are converting. It's just everything.
And trauma. Now
Yeah.
you've got intergenerational collective trauma, for both the colonists and the native peoples. What a scarred and sad
Yeah.
world.
Right, and we're just gearing up for the whole revolutionary
Yeah.
mayhem that's gonna go on. Um, Beeman, so there's a Beeman. Remember Simon Beeman
Yes.
married Alice Young, who was the daughter of Alice Young, who was the first witch hung. There's
Yeah.
a Hannah Beeman, and I tried to look her up and connect her, and I think she's either the daughter-in-law.
Mhm.
But anyway, she was the headmistress that during one of these Indian attacks in Deerfield, she had gathered all the children and ran them back to saved all the children basically. So she's a hero.
Wow. Wow.
But that's really, I don't know. That was a very brief. If you want to have a really great read the Deerfield Massacre by that guy I just said. I can't find the book now, but it's fascinating. And the
It
captive tales are amazing.
Yes, the captive narratives are really cool to study and, because that's how you were able to kinda give us a view through the Agawam life, or even just their perspective on what the English people thought about us was based on the captives went up there and started to live that their way and understand their culture and wrote about that, and,
Yeah. If you were the
so
right
those
kind of
are
person to make the trip, it ended up being kinda okay for you. But man, if you slipped on the ice or broke an ankle, or if you had a 2-year-old that or if you were nursing a baby.
and think about these women who we've kinda gone through some of their mental issues and some of the sickly issues, um, you'd be a mess, and, there is you look at Deerfield, what's interesting about if you want me to do it, or we can do it
Do,
next
please
time.
do. No.
What you're saying, so Springfield now is it has a reputation for being the worst city in Massachusetts. It's like a hole. And they just have this enduring legacy of and it's not a bad place. When I went there, it's not bad, but it does have a sense of loss. There's a heaviness there. There's a desperate, like, what's the word when you just are stuck somewhere and you're not making
Limbo?
progress? Or Ohio.
Doldrums? Oh, no, Cleveland? We're
Or
not
Cle
judging. We're from Cleveland. We love Cleveland. I love Cleveland.
But, I mean, people have written books about how and it's the number 1 haunted city in the country,
Yeah,
said one
has to
article,
be.
and it has no standing there are very few not even a house you can go visit standing from that time. Even the meeting house has been rebuilt and rebuilt. It's it's gone. Like, it's gone. And so then you go to Deerfield, and it is beautiful up there, and they've done there's a whole museum living, they have houses still standing. Eh, but what I couldn't understand when I was there is why are the houses still standing when Springfield Massacre kinda razed all the buildings and infrastructure, and Deerfield held on to a few. I think you're right, I think they wanted the captives. I think
Yeah,
that was their goal. They
they're
didn't
2
want
different
to
goals.
raise the building. Yeah.
Mhm, Springfield was
Um,
to destroy it, and Deerfield was to collect humans.
but yeah, and so Deerfield, you could walk into their houses that they built and kinda see it, but there's a heaviness there too, and the
Is it called
heaviness
it's called The Street? Is that what it's called? The street
yeah,
that you
there's
walk
the
down
main
and the
street,
houses are on it?
and there's about 6 to 7 houses, and even some of the houses are lived in by normal people, so and then
Mhm.
there's a boarding school right there where the students are walking around down the street. It's a weird energy there when you walk around, and a very for me, it was heavy, and the part that made me the most that might maybe the most upsetting for me is you still have the Agawam lands. They've left the fields open, there's a path you can walk around, and
Oh,
so
wow.
you're confronted right there with both of the you can see the lands that were cultivated for thousands of years still there, and then you see these houses that are dark inside and gothic-y and,
Yeah.
clapboard, and they'll show you where the bullets went through here, or, there's just a sense of a reckoning of nonsense. Like none of that had to happen, you
Yeah.
know?
And
And
the
then yeah,
oh, go ahead.
no, I'm done. But the colonists just sort of passing through. They got on a ship in England, they went into mystery, they lived and drummed up all this bad energy, and then they moved on.
We moved on.
And so
Yeah.
there's no American story there. I mean, there's the real one, but the site of memory, like we've talked about, still is hanging on to all those moments you brought to life for us with the captives and stuff. It's not a very happy place, I
No,
didn't think.
it's interesting because going back, like, with Springfield, so the goal was to raise it and destroy it. They rebuilt it. And then when I'm watching all these YouTube videos, there's some fantastic I'm in love with one of these YouTubers who did a he
Ooh,
stood on the shore of the Connecticut River for an hour and a half and just spewed story. Like,
I have him I
I
could bring him
love
up.
him.
He's
Okay. He's the
amazing.
West Springfield
Let's see, I can get
History or something. There's another guy
yes.
called John Kelly. I'm gonna put them all in the sources. John
Okay,
Kelly
okay.
did a fantastic video where he goes down and he walks through it. John Kelly on YouTube, it's at JK_LMNOP1. But then West Springfield Our Story guy
Yes.
stands there and just tells everything about it, which shows that there's still people that there's love and pride going on there. But then they
Yeah.
start saying, and this is just a natural thing, this is not any wrong thing, but okay, so it was So one group of people wanted to destroy this town. They rebuild it, and then 300 years later, they're describing these spots, and Miles Morgan's house is now the Peter Pan bus stop, you know, and,
Yep.
Margaret Bliss's house is now I think there's a liquor store on it, and the corner where Thomas Cooper and Thomas Miller were killed, there's one little monument in the 7-Eleven parking lot. The
Mhm.
burial grounds that was over by the river, they had to actually unbury everybody if they could and move it for the freeway to come through. Like, it's just we destroy our history just fine, we do a pretty good job at destroying our
It
history as well.
Yeah,
We're not.
that's definitely, and people, like you mentioned, there's a museum there. People are trying to preserve the history, but maybe it's not worth preserving. It almost feels like the
Right.
land doesn't want to no one wants to comment on it. In fact, a writer went and stayed in Springfield for a few weeks trying to write a story about it, and he couldn't. He couldn't he It's like the land doesn't wanna give you the memories.
Yeah.
And so, it was like pulling teeth to get our women out of there to kind of flesh them out for this
Mhm.
season,
It was
and I'm
really
glad we
hard.
did, but it
Yeah.
was it was hard because if they weren't a witch or someone's wife, it was pretty even in the family search, they're hidden in there,
Yes.
still wandering.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
um,
it is a hub of something.
I don't know if they're on weird ley lines or
Maybe,
weird
or
energy there.
I'll keep blaming it on the swamp fog,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but it's,
yeah. It
heavy. I
gives me
think
the chills a little bit.
yeah, anywhere with history like that, you
Yeah,
can feel it, and really, I always think it's because well, this is too woo-woo, but, like, when
nothing's
I went
too
to
woo-woo.
Concord and you walk through Concord and Louisa May Alcott's house there and Ralph Waldo Emerson's house and Thoreau and these people and you go to the graveyard, and I remember I don't know what age I was, but standing in the graveyard and feeling standing next to this tree, and the tree's moving in the wind like it's breathing, and just feeling like every single person buried in that was now in this tree looking over this town with me and just like, "We're still here in a way, breathing, energy's still here," and, that was just that I was young, but I realized then that, okay, places places have memory, and maybe now it's in a tree, maybe it's not in a museum, or maybe it's but good or bad,
Yeah, it doesn't lie. Those vibes don't
don't lie.
they like that writer, he literally felt a resistance of anything positive he tried to write or sugarcoat, it wouldn't let him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so you're buried under a tree, that tree's DNA with the fibers going out to all the other
You become part of
ecosystem.
that tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's totally what I
So
felt like, "Oh, I get this, I understand this, okay."
mhm,
So I can feel these things in these different places, and it's not judging or being
right.
anything on the current people that live there, but here I'm feeling something that is okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like old wounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And learning about these people, that's just another tree, right? It's another way to connect in with this what they were doing and their energy, and I loved it.
I ended up loving it's that weird it's a very conflicting feeling about, regardless of what their goals were, what they were hoping for, everyone on that land was hoping for something. And so
Yeah.
I liked pulling our women out, examining them, looking at them, trying to think the way they thought and bring that world to life a little bit. It helps me understand, like, I don't want to be, talking about my neighbors or starting my own mini witch hunts in my village.
Yes. Right.
So,
And not letting the bigger thing, the big agenda Oh,
Mhm.
it's all about affect how I treat my neighbors and, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, okay, we did it. We
Oh
did our
my
first season.
gosh. That's awesome. We'll come back to them. They're part of us now.
Well, we will carefully the fabric we woven, we will carefully fold away and keep
Yes.
safe, and
Like,
now
I'm so sad because
I know.
I did my last like, here's my binder
Oh,
filled
I
with
love your
and
binders.
now I have to put them all in there and for another day. Who will care about all of this? I don't
We
know.
will care because we've brought them into Little Boulder more relief. We told about Springfield from a woman's perspective, from a witch's perspective, and I bet wherever we go next, we will have reason to come back to them
Yes.
for what we've learned from them.
Yeah. We'll take Mary Burt with us always.
Oh, she's so lascivious.
We
She's
love
the
her.
one that she brought us here, and
She brought us here.
in the end, we ended up telling her story and
We
all her
sure did.
neighbors.
She had some pretty cool yeah.
All right, well,
Alright.
thank you for sharing season 1 with us, and we will start researching and feeling the trees,
Yep.
and we don't know where we're going
We
next,
don't know where we're going.
but we'll
So
figure it
we'll
out.
okay. Wow. Hey, here we go, off to the next one. Who are we
Hey,
gonna
that
talk
was
about next?
I don't know. There's
We'll
a
have
few.
maybe we'll do a little touch base episode to really get other people involved or something somehow
Yeah, we could do,
in the
like, a
meantime.
debrief show. Maybe
Yeah, a reunion show.
The Real Housewives of Springfield.
Yes. We all have our lip injections and Alright,
Yeah.
well, I love you.
Okay.
This is so
Love you. Thank
fun.
you. Okay, we're gonna
Okay.
keep going. Okay,
Yeah, we are.
are you gonna edit this or me?
I'll edit it. Yeah, I love
Okay,
it.
good. You're good at it. Okay.
If
All
you
right,
ever
but
have
don't
any
edit your funny stuff out.
Alright.
If I have to go like this, then you need your funny stuff.
I know. It was so fun. Okay. Alright.
That was yeah, okay.
It was dumb.
I'm glad you felt the same way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I love you.
Love you too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
We have to stop
I'm
and then
still uploading.